as a developing psychic, you're taught to, or we are in the UK anyway, we're taught to keep like diaries of all the your thoughts and your mystical experiences and stuff. And when I started one of those when I was 15 years old, the very first entry I wrote in the diary was about that I knew that there was this psychic technique out there somewhere where you could time travel with the mind, and I would one day learn how to do that. So that was in 1985.
Wow.
When I didn't know anything about remote viewing at all. It wasn't until 7 years later at a UFO conference in Leeds here in the UK that I first heard about the term remote viewing being used. So
That's fascinating.
I look back on that and think it's almost like it feels like it was part of, it was meant to be for me. And that's why I've been addicted ever since.
Yeah, it's like there's so many different approaches to it. And somehow, I don't know if you feel the same way about this, but it feels like it is all interconnected. Even people that are doing the clairvoyant work or different types of like channeling or that kind of mediumship sort of work, there is, it seems to me, an overlay or a commonality. And I don't know whether it's the way that we phenomenally function as humans and our consciousness is interfacing with the phenomenon, or if it's somehow everybody comes into it with a different preset or approach or conditioned expectations that sort of funnels them into a certain approach to it, whether it be spiritual or witchcraft or occultism or different means like that. But you ended up in kind of the CRV realm.
Yeah, I mean, and I got there because I tried all those ancient classical, what I call classical techniques, and they're all good. They worked fantastic. But the problem with doing normal clairvoyance or tarot or anything like that is that, and I found that it's more of a spontaneous happening. You don't have any control over the manifestation of the data and how to work with it. What I found with remote viewing, and especially the method I learned, the controlled remote viewing, is that instead of being a passenger in the car, I ended up being the driver in the car. And now I decide when I'm going to be psychic, and I decide how much information I'm going to get by my actions and the way I progress getting it.
So do you feel like some of those other mystical approaches or alternative approaches, while they may have certain valid results or intuitive insight that you might gain from them, there's something about the clarity of the systems of remote viewing, especially like cognitive remote viewing, that gave you the validity that you were looking for?
Yeah.
Because it does feel like with like tarot cards, for example, like you might get some sort of a phenomenal prediction that comes out true towards a near future, or that resonates with your life or the past or something, but still you have like cards that are already printed shooting out. Whereas with remote viewing, you're sort of tapping into some phenomenal dimension of reality almost that is the source information. It's not just like cards in a deck. You're going to the source beyond the physical deck of cards. Yeah. Maybe you can.
Tarot cards uses an exterior tool of the tarot cards to be the focus point to get the information through to you. Whereas in remote viewing, you essentially, your whole body is the tool that you're using to stream the data into you.
In fact, almost the less that you know as the remote viewer, the better. Almost the more blind you are, the more desirable. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit and describe that double blind methodology and why that's attractive.
Remote viewers always work blind. So that's one of the major difference between what we do and what I call the classical techniques. Like most people, if they're doing like a tarot reading for someone, they'll actually be in the room with the person wanting the tarot reading, and they'll usually allow them to shuffle the cards, maybe cut the cards or pick the cards, that kind of thing. And I'm not saying no psychic stuff happens in those kind of scenarios, but we all have to be honest in that there could be quite a lot of body language or normal kind of language with pheromones, micro actions, and anything that goes on in a scenario like that. Whereas with remote viewing, we're given, we are remote from anyone that's tasking a target. So especially for myself, everyone that I get tasked targets from are in different locations around the world. And all I get given is a random number as a focal point. And then I do my psychic thing, my RV thing. And then later on, once I finish, I will then get a feedback package, which will tell me what the target was and give me feedback. And the good thing about having that feedback is it then allows me to review my RV data and see how accurate I was, and see if there was anything psychic that actually took place.
So you're then able to go through the entire experience, kind of like a big trust fall into the psychic realm and the viewing experience. And you're only given like a few numbers that are assigned to the task, and you have no idea what that's associated with. Yeah. It's completely separated from you and your knowledge. You just take those numbers, and then maybe you can describe for us, for people that are curious. And this is the level of it where I'm fascinated with, because I've done a lot of different types of meditation. I've done I use the gateway method from the Monroe Institute, and I try to understand the different levels of perception in human consciousness and awareness. But it's like there's maybe there's a sweet spot or something that you notice that sort of occurs when you're like, this is it. Now I'm actually perceiving it. Or do you feel like as soon as you notice that like it's happening, I am remote viewing it, that overlay of noticing sort of pops the perception in the bubble? Or how does that sort of work when you go from standing there in the room in front of a dry erase board? What does that essence feel like as you slip into that right sensation, and where does it go?
I mean, the whole remote viewing feeling is an amazing feeling, because you're in a state of what they class as bilocation. So you're half where you are in the real world doing your task. But you're also half not there anymore. You're what I call in the zone. You're somewhere else in deep focus, but you're not so far removed from reality that you can't function. And that's the key thing about remote viewing, is you're over a period of years of training yourself, you can allow yourself to function. And for example, most of the remote viewing I do is sat at a table. And I can and have done that in cafes or on bus journeys. So you can see and be aware of everything around you. I could be there, sat there drinking a coffee, eating a biscuit or something, and at the same time get information from anywhere in the universe, and be really feeling that target, tasting it, smelling it, touching it. Although when you do that, or when I do that within remote viewing, I don't actually smell or taste anything. I literally just know what the appropriate word and sensation is for those things automatically.
So instead of actually like physically being there, like actually being in the location, it's more like a deeper wisdom of knowing, a familiarity with, almost more like a recollection of a memory of a place that isn't yours or something.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I've seen no evidence anywhere yet that anyone in remote ever travels to any targets. I think the target's actually already encoded within all of us, because all information is everywhere in the universe. So there's no need for us to travel to Mars to get information about Mars. We just look within ourselves for that information about Mars, and it's already there.